Hi, good evening. I am Richard V from Richard V Chambers. Welcome back to RWC's webinar, the community series. We've been holding a fair bit of webinars over the last few months. Today's webinar, as part of our community series, will see us hosting Mr. David Lowe from Luno, where he will be discussing about cryptocurrency and the laws related to cryptocurrency. Now, I will say that in recent years, cryptocurrency has become a very prominent topic of discussion, particularly people who are involved in assets and finance. And last year, Luno was given approval by the Security Commission to get involved in cryptocurrency, which David will be sharing with us in a short while. So today, the way we will be running this topic will be like this. I will be bringing David into the studio in a short while, and I will introduce David. David will be speaking about his job scope in Luno, what he's supposed to do, and what does Luno do. And he will give a 15 minutes introduction about cryptocurrency, which as I'm quite aware, many people still don't understand what is cryptocurrency. And flowing from there, once we get through that introduction, I will be inviting David to speak about Luno, what Luno is all about. It is a very interesting company, Luno Money, and I really urge all of you to loan me your ears so that you can hear what he's going to say. Thereafter, I will probably invite David, who's, by the way, a lawyer, legally trained. He'll probably share some legal views about the latest development, and more importantly for the listeners, what is the future? What is the future that lies for us? So without further ado, let me bring David on board. Hi, David. How are you, David?
Great. Hello, Richard. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, welcome aboard. So, David, if you want to share this video on your Luno watching party, you can go ahead later. So let me while you may want to, let me just quickly round out my introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, today for this webinar, which should be about for 1 hour, the whole idea and purpose of this webinar is to try and educate the public about cryptocurrency and the laws around it. Now, before any of you get excited, the meowing sound that you hear is from me, because I have a few cats. In fact, under my table, there's a few cats running around. So my apologies if you hear some meow, 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 meow. It's actually from my house. Yeah. So, David, all yours. Maybe you can introduce yourself and immediately start giving your introduction. What is cryptocurrency? And I think we better clear once and for all that Bitcoin is not the only cryptocurrency. There are many, many other cryptocurrency. I leave it to you, David. All yours, mate.
Great. So just to introduce myself, I'm David. I am actually the General Manager for Luno Southeast Asia. I'll explain a little bit what does Luno represent, what we do. But to give a good idea in relation to Malaysia, right? We are actually just we are one of the regulated market operators in Malaysia. That means we have approval from government to run our business here. And again, I'm going to give a little bit more juice into what that means to you guys in Malaysia. So what is digital currency, right? What is cryptocurrency, or rather, right? A lot of people ask this question all the time. I think the simplest way to understand what is cryptocurrency is that it is a form of digital assets, at least under the definition of the Malaysia law. It's a form of digital asset that is created with the underlying technology called blockchain. Now, if you have heard about the word blockchain, it's been used in many different ways. It has many different names as well. Sometimes it's also referred to as distributed ledger technology. It's basically just a peer-to-peer ledger technology where people store and secure data in a database, and is maintained by peers. In a simpler way, you can call it basically a group of people or a selected group of or public community that wants to be part of maintaining the database. So cryptocurrency is created with that underlying technology, and it has created many different use cases around the world. Now, one of the most popular cryptocurrency that you've definitely heard of is called Bitcoin. Contrary to popular belief, Bitcoin is not cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is one of the popular cryptocurrencies that's being used around the world. There are also other popular cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, and many, many others. I think around the world, there's at least 1,000 cryptocurrencies that is circulating in the market, which has many, many different use cases. So I can go a little bit deeper into Bitcoin because that's the most popular cryptocurrency that people always hear about. Bitcoin was created, I think, sometime about 11 years ago by an anonymous founder or a group of people, sometimes people speculated, called Satoshi Nakamoto. And he created Bitcoin with the view of creating a better digital currency, a better form of money online that can be used widely around the world, that is cheaper, faster, as well as more transparent as well, right? That doesn't rely on a single or a group of entity to validate their transaction. So he used Bitcoin, he created this cryptocurrency called, he used blockchain and he created a cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. And since then, it has gained tremendous amount of adoption around the world for many different use cases. Now, in Malaysia, the most common way people use Bitcoin is actually treating it as an asset class. And that is why it's also called as a digital asset, where people buy it online through platforms like Luno, just for investment purposes, right? So they buy it today and they hope that the price will go up in the next 1 year, and then they will buy today and they'll sell it a year later. So that's basically the gist of what cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is. Now, going into what my company does, we are the trading platform, or some people know it as a cryptocurrency exchange that allows you to store your Bitcoin as well as sell it for ringgit, right? You can also store your ringgit with us and buy Bitcoin through our platform. It's available on a website. You can download it on the iOS store. You can also download it through the Google Android store as well. So that's the gist of it, and I'm one of the guys behind this company to try and increase adoption and awareness of this very interesting digital asset investment class in Malaysia.
Thanks. So basically, David, to dispel the myth, notwithstanding the word currency, cryptocurrency is not like the way you and I use ringgit to go and buy some nasi lemak and all that. It is a different kind of asset, isn't it?
Yeah, largely, I would say a lot of cryptocurrencies were created to try and serve as an alternative to the actual currency like ringgit and US dollar. But in actual fact, because of the way it behaves, because certain characteristics that it possesses, it behaves a lot more like an asset class. However, there are certain major cryptocurrency that was created, which isn't Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP that I mentioned, that it managed to program to behave more like a currency, where the price don't fluctuate, the transaction processing time is a lot more faster as well. So you probably heard here about stable coins. For example, stable coins like Tether, right? In short form, they call it USDT. There's also some stable coin that's created that's not just based on USD, but it's based on something else as well, right? Something that people would have heard of over the news. For example, people hear about Libra, right? I think it's a new name right now. It's basically an initiative led by Facebook alongside with other big companies around the world to try and create another form of stablecoin that is packed against a basket of currencies as well, to also again provide an alternative to people, right? To use it to make payments online.
Yeah. So that's why I think because of that, how should I say, shared character, similar character between crypto and a usual cash currency, which confuses people.
Yes.
But eventually, when they hear what Luno is doing, I think they will understand better. I have a funny feeling, David, just like what happened when you came to my office last time. The moment you were explaining what Luno was doing, then they're like, oh, so cryptocurrency is like that. So ladies and gentlemen, hold on. The best is yet to come. So just to some background again here, as we speak, I'll just add this in. David was very kind to visit my office back in January where he conducted a talk similar to this, and we called it Luno and Law Part 1. So this is finally we managed to do the Luno and Law Part 2. But we wanted him to come back to our office to do it, but I guess now the new normal, they call it, this is the way forward. So we're also sharing here David's podcast with RWC, where David shared some views. So any of you here interested, you can listen to the podcast and learn from David, and later on you can contact David directly. So David, on that note, now that you have given us a quick introduction, what is a cryptocurrency, you have also explained to us stable coin, Bitcoin, and everyone thought Bitcoin is equal to the cryptocurrency, but actually no, it's cryptocurrency, and one of it is Bitcoin.
Right.
So what about this? How do you trade? How do you buy and sell? How do you exchange cryptocurrency? All yours. And I think from here you can slowly go into Luno. All yours.
Yeah, I think that's what Luno does. If you want to access into cryptocurrency, you can basically look at our Luno's website. So what we do is like I mentioned just now, we are a cryptocurrency exchange, right? We facilitate the trading of digital assets or crypto versus ringgit. So you can, if you want access to it, the easiest way is to go to our website or download our app, sign up as a user, provide us certain basic information about yourself, and then you will get an account which you can then deposit ringgit or transfer your ringgit from a bank account into, and then buy Bitcoin to the price that you might want to buy in. So the simplest way to think about Luno is we are like the stock exchange that facilitates buying and selling of stocks, but in our case, we facilitate buy and sell of cryptocurrency that is permitted by the Malaysian government. Right now, even though there's 1,000+ crypto around the world, we only allow 4 different cryptocurrencies to be traded on our platform. So that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's XRP, and we have recently launched Litecoin trading pair as well. So you can use your ringgit to also buy Litecoin, and these are typically the 4 major cryptocurrencies that's widely traded around the world. That also has one of the largest market capitalization around the world as well. So that's the easiest way to access into cryptocurrency.
Excellent. So I think the moment I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, David just mentioned that Luno is a platform where you can buy and sell Bitcoins. I mean, cryptocurrencies, right? You can actually use your ringgit to go to Luno and acquire Bitcoins or stable coins, so whatever the 4 popular coins involved. Correct? Luno?
Yeah, only the
correct,
4.
David? Yeah.
Not stable coins. Only these 4 cryptocurrencies that is a digital asset. So it is more of an investment than anything else.
So basically, to make it easy for everyone out here to understand, that Luno is like a mini stock exchange.
Yes,
but only
it is.
It is a stock exchange, correct?
It is the easiest way to imagine it.
Excellent. And you are governed by the Security Commission, the laws of Security Commission.
Correct. So Securities Commission has a set of guidelines which we must adhere to. And before we could operate our business, we need to seek for an approval or some sort of a license from Securities Commission before we can operate. So we are governed by Securities Commission. The SC has laid down a lot of different requirements that we have to comply with before we are allowed to operate our market. So yeah, we are actually also a reporting institution to Bank Negara. So even though we are governed by the SC, we have a reporting obligation to Bank Negara in cases of money laundering and terrorism financing. So in essence, we actually we are regulated by the SC, but also kind of regulated by BNM as well.
Yeah, but I think to be fair, the BNM one is a quite universal, because I think many people are not aware that all of us are governed under AMLA.
Yes.
And anybody who receive big amount of cash just to hold it and and then reissue it out, that itself is a clear AMLA issue. So then we have to report to Bank Negara. But there you go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You can see Luno is a legit company. And maybe at this stage, would you like to share? What's the funny thing, David? I feel like we are repeating our January seminar. But you know what I noticed, David, before we proceed, a lot of people still don't understand crypto. You know,
Yep.
I think, and in order for people to trade crypto and get involved with crypto and get things right, I think you and I got no, I mean, not just you and my, you have to, no choice, have to repeat this over and over again, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's very common. It's also something that we are happy to do because at the end of the day, education is very important. Without proper education and understanding of the technology, we would want Malaysians to get into something that they do not understand, right? So similarly, I think if you make any investments in any capital markets, even if before you buy a stock, you should know the company that owns the stock, right? So we apply the same principles. We want to make sure that people understand what they're getting into before they even have an account with us. And I'll be more than happy to walk through anyone on any questions that they have regarding cryptocurrency.
Excellent. Then before I ask you about the history of Luno, I recall following your Instagram and your LinkedIn that you even conduct talks with the PDRM, the Royal Malaysian Police, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, we do. So, providing education initiative is our staple, and we'd love to provide education. So, and I think it's also important to also equip, relevant government departments or authorities with the sufficient knowledge and skill sets in order to tackle whatever that comes what may, right? Because you can't avoid disruptive technology. The best way is to understand it, learn it, and then apply the right method to manage it, right? And I think that's something that we always do with any relevant government authorities.
Excellent. So I'm just sharing this because I want to explain to the viewers who are watching to show how aggressive and expanding is the concept of cryptocurrency, to the point there where the PDRM is interested to understand. Very rare to hear.
In fact, something that a lot of people don't know, PDRM actually have a special unit just to tackle cryptocurrency crimes. So
there you go. Yeah,
they're way ahead. If you compare PDRM with other police, in the region, they are way ahead. They are very focused. They're very specialized, and they basically just investigate crypto crimes.
Excellent. Well done. Yeah. So flowing from there, now that we've established cryptocurrency and kind of established what Luno is doing, maybe you can share with us a little bit the history of Luno Money, because I know internationally it's called Luno Money. I follow your Twitter account and all that. Maybe you can share with us a little bit a story about your company, Luno.
Sure. Luno is actually not a new company. We've been around for the longest time. We're actually one of the oldest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. So it was founded by Marcus and Timothy. They are South Africans. They founded the company back in 2013, and they expanded the business from South Africa and Southeast Asia all the way to Europe and London. Right now, and it was literally from a team of like 3 to 5 people, and they've expanded the team many times fold. And I think right now we have a head count of about 300 plus people around the world. I can never pinpoint the exact number because we're always hiring people around the world. So it's about 300 plus. We also have more than 4 million users globally as well, right? and Malaysia form one of our very interesting growing market, for the company as a whole. So we are one of the oldest crypto exchanges. In fact, we are also ranked one of the top 10 crypto exchanges in the world as well, comparable to players like Coinbase from the US. So we are kind of the Coinbase in the developing market like Southeast Asia and Africa, as well as Europe as well.
Brilliant. So let's I already let the cat out of the bag that actually you have a legal background. And that's how, ladies and gentlemen, David and I, we have been acquaintance for quite some time. I dare say about 10 years now. Yeah. Since that infamous court case. Yes. So, we all know which case it is. So, David and I, ironically, when we first met, we were both doing human rights work. So what a journey, the two of us, from human rights to tech and crypto. So, okay, David, I got to congratulate your two South African founders, because Luno is super interesting. I follow you guys all the time, and I like what you guys are doing. it is something inspiring for people like me to see how somebody builds something and make it so relevant and it becomes so useful to the community. Right?
Thank you. Thank you.
From flowing from there, being two of us being legal background, so let's give some legal juice to the listeners. Let's share some legal views, something which we didn't really do at the last talk when we did in RWC. So from your perspective, firstly, I'll say to you, and I better not let you comment on this because it could be sub judice. I know for a fact there is an ongoing case between Luno and an individual where this individual had purchased some cryptos, and unfortunately there was an inaccurate deposit done by Luno, and Luno is asking for the money to return. So unfortunately, there was an issue of the valuation of the crypto, and that matter is now being disputed. But I understand that you have successfully obtained an order for the return of the money at the lower court, and the same order was confirmed in the high court. That's what I understand. And I know one of my friend who's your lawyer, so you're in good hands, huh? The guy is a very good lawyer, and I understand the matter is going up to Court of Appeal now, correct?
Yep, correct.
So ladies and gentlemen, the funny thing is David's case is the very first cryptocurrency case in Malaysian courts. But because it's an ongoing case, I'd rather not invite David to comment. But for me to share to all of you, if you Google the case Luno later, you will find the case. It's now going up to the Court of Appeal. But that aside, David, any comments around the world, any court cases around the world, maybe any cases which define crypto as a currency, or is there any court case which define it as a stock? Anything you want to share with us?
I am not 100% sure, but I know that there are a lot of development on this space by courts around the world, right? So, for example, I think there was a case in Singapore, right, where one of our friendly competitor called Coin was involved with. I think it was a B2C2 case versus Coin. So apparently, I think what happened was B2C2 was a client of Coin. They were trading on a platform. However, there was some error in the trades, which resulted in some error trading. And I think as an exchange, they wanted to basically reverse those trades, which basically is also challenged by B2C2, who was party to the trade, right? So I think there are a lot of developers around the world, but I think it's still a new space, right? And I always like to look back into what happened in Malaysia, where I think our regulators have taken a very proactive stand, right, to try and define cryptocurrency into something that we can interpret as law students. So for example, for example, it all relates to Luno, right? At the end of the day, because how we were regulated, the regulators had to work out some sort of legal definition for cryptocurrency like Bitcoin first before they can actually think about regulating businesses that deals with cryptocurrency, right? So in our case, something that is very interesting, that's relevant to us, our audience here is, for example, the SC, Securities Commission, right? They publish they prescribe cryptocurrency as a digital asset and as a form of security as well under our legal definition of the law. So that means basically cryptocurrency will fall under the CMSA, the Capital Markets Services Act, and that allows then the regulators to basically now say, okay, now I've taken this new stuff, and parked it under my jurisdiction. Now then, how can I then put regulations in place to regulate cryptocurrency exchanges like Luno, which is where you have the highest risks of insecurities or funds stolen with customers, right? So that's what Malaysia did. We took cryptocurrency, we defined it as a security. We gave it a new legal name called digital assets, and then we created frameworks that governs cryptocurrency exchanges. So that's the gist of the most interesting development that's relevant to our market right here.
Interesting. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. In Malaysia, the Security Commission, who is the governing authority in this area, has, as David explained, prescribed a name to it, which is called digital asset. It's defined as a digital asset. So very interesting. So basically, it's an asset, something you and I can buy and sell, you and I can trade using this asset, right? So the case that you mentioned, I managed to track it down and I shared it here just now. I think it's this B2B case you mentioned, right? B2C2 case, yeah.
Correct.
So quite an interesting case in Singapore. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, around the world, I can share with you, other than listening and hearing from David, that there are many cases going on in the courts. And of course, in some jurisdiction, I think the judges are struggling on how to handle crypto, or in Malaysian's case, is digital assets. But I remembered when I spoke to David, I must give credit to David. David, being my junior and teaching an old man like me, he said, Richard, don't worry about, just to share with all of you, last year I gave a call to David and said, hey, David, you know, I've always got inquiries from cryptocurrency. Can I get your guidance? Can you just give me a quick tuition of what is it about? And that's how David said, hey, Richard, why don't I come to your office and give a talk? I was like, oh, why not? I love it. Then he said this to me, Richard, it's no different than contract law, you know, offer, acceptance, consideration. So when I went through what he said, David is correct. It's an asset which you buy or sell, you know, and so the laws of contract apply. Correct, David? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what the judges in Malaysia, as well as even regulators, right? I think what they do is they try to look at existing law that you have, look at the existing framework, and instead of, rather than reinventing the wheel, creating something wholly new that they might not be 100% sure of, they just take that, expand it, put crypto back into the bucket, and there you go. Everything applies, right? Even your well-established case laws and principles also applies in this case as well, right? And as long as it makes sense.
But I think for the viewers, while I think many people will struggle to understand how cryptocurrency is born, you know, it comes to creation. So everyone knows, oh, ringgit or bank negara lah. Bank negara issue means it's ringgit. Oh, share. Oh, that company issue lah. So Luno issue a share, I buy from Luno. There's a share lah. But Bitcoin, how do I get Bitcoin? So I understand the people are confused over the blockchain, the mathematic calculation, how people attempt to calculate the mathematic in the blockchain, the formula, and then as a reward, they get a Bitcoin. Then from that Bitcoin, it becomes an asset. This concept, many people don't understand. But don't let that confusion stop you from understanding that it's a normal offer, acceptance, buy and sell. It's like you and I buying, sell shares, you know. So I like the way you explained, David. It was a very good explanation. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, but flowing from there, David, it's already 7:30. Just nice. We've got half an hour more to go. What about the future? Because I do want to open up for Q&A if there is any Q&A. Some people will be shy to ask about this area. But what about the future of cryptocurrency in Malaysia? So, as a digital asset, let's go through this first. You've explained that the government of Malaysia have intervened using the Security Commission. The SC has come in to regulate stock, this particular stock or this particular digital asset. Then, at the same time, as you mentioned, when it comes to movement of money, we are all answerable to Bank Negara. So then, Security Commission appointed Luno as an agency, as a platform to trade Bitcoin. So we've seen the structure is there, the contents are there. We've seen regulatory, and you mentioned just now, even the police have a cryptocurrency department. But moving forward from there, David, what do you foresee the law and the regulation and the rules, or even the industry itself, going to be in the next 6 months to 12 months?
Sure. So something that's very interesting that is already happening. I'm sure some of you would have heard of the terminology called ICO, right? Initial coin offering. Just to give some idea what it's about, is basically a startup creating their own version of cryptocurrency, and they can name it whatever it's called. Them selling it to the public just to raise money to fund their project, right? So this ICO thing has been ongoing for the longest time, and in fact, I think that at one point a Singaporean company, I think back in 2017, managed to raise $90 million in 30 minutes just by creating the tokens or crypto and selling it to the public, right? So this space is something that the regulators has been looking to for the longest time. They've taken a phased approach into regulating the entire industry, and I think what's going on right now is that the SC has actually published a guideline called the IEO Guideline. If for those of you who may be interested to read it, you can just go to the Securities Commission website and download it just to read it. But the gist of it is basically regulators saying, hey, if you want to create your own cryptocurrency for fundraising purposes, to fund expansion or the development of your business or your project, you will need to comply to this guideline. And what this guideline says is that, you know, if you want to create it, you're called an issuer, you would definitely have to seek the approval of the SC. There are a lot of legal requirements that you have to comply with. So for example, what's your minimum capital requirement, which is about 500,000 ringgit, what you need to do when you're fundraising. Yeah, I think this is the one. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it hasn't come in force yet. They've published it because they wanted the public to read it, provide feedback, as well as for us to familiarize with it. And I think quite soon, what I heard internally was sometime in Q3 or Q4, the SC will start putting this into force. So what it means is that if you, as a company, want to be an issuer, you will have to work with what they call the IEO operator. And IEO operator are basically like investment bankers. They help companies raise funds, so they are called IEO operator. You have to then apply with the SC to get an approval to be an IEO operator. And after that, you can start exploring these means of fundraising, you know, for your business. So it's very interesting. I think this is what's going to happen next. And I think the idea that SC has is that we want to cultivate this new technology. We see the benefits of this way of fundraising that's very different from what we have right now, which is through IPO or ECF or even P2P. This is a potential new way for us to cultivate, you know, to help us raise funds for the SME market. Let's look into this. We put regulations in place. If you're interested to do this, fundraise through this means, then talk to us about it and get approval from us. So this is what's, you know, is gonna really create a whole new industry where people can actually consider this as a way to fundraise for their business. I think there's also another development that's coming in is I think a lot of people heard about stablecoin. So again, just to give an idea what stablecoin is basically a cryptocurrency that's pegged against a traditional money like ringgit. So if you have heard about Tether, right, which is USDT, right, one Tether is equivalent to $1. And I think what the government view is, if anyone wants to create a stablecoin, it has to be again government regulated, and that regulation falls under Bank Negara. So I think what I heard was that Bank Negara will amend the Currency Act, and then they will expand the meaning of legal tender into this as well. So these are just some very interesting development that's going to happen in Malaysia over the next 6 months. And obviously, I think everyone can look forward to it, especially businesses who have always wondered, can I raise money, you know, by creating my own cryptocurrency? I think this is what we're going to see next happening over the next 6 months to 1 year.
I got to say, David, things are moving so fast that I think if you close your eyes too long, you miss it. You know, so yeah. And I can see already in the last 6 months since you came to our office, so much have changed, so much have been added on. So I've already taken whatever you comment, and to assist the viewers, we have put up sharing what is stablecoin for them to read. Furthermore, as you know, David, this video is recorded by Facebook, so we will download this video later and share with you. You can also share with your other viewers. And later on, we will then upload this video on RWC's YouTube channel, and anybody can go and watch that at any time of the year. You know, you'll be there forever. So flowing from there, so we've got this new IEO guidelines, which basically, as we saw just now, is actually guidelines on digital asset. It's basically trying to give us the requirements for issuers seeking to raise funds through digital token offering, and the registration of a platform operator to operate the IEO platform. So, in your view so far, David, how do you think Malaysia will react to IEO? I know this could be a silly question, but for other listeners to understand, will Luno be applying for the IEO?
For us, I think we are looking into this very seriously. So it's definitely in our plans to do so. But you'll be surprised, there's actually a lot of interest on this, particularly from capital market operators or people who've been in the fundraising business for a while. So for example, we know for sure that some regulated ECF guys are interested to also be part of this as well. And we also have businesses who have actually came to us and asked us, hey, can I raise funds by creating my own tokens? I think a lot of people wondering why is it so different? What's it so interesting, right? What's there to raise funds with crypto when I can actually raise funds through issuing my own shares? Now, the biggest benefit of trying to fundraise with crypto is that you don't have to give up any of your shares to raise funds. So it's a win-win for the business, right? Why would you want to issue shares, sell it to the public, and then again be accountable to them as a shareholder, when you can basically create your own tokens, right? You can code it in a way where you can allow the tokens to be used for your business services or buying your goods. And at the same time, it also gives benefit to the end user who wants to hold it as a form of investment, right? So this has become a lot more sexy for businesses to consider because they don't have to give up their shares. They can create the token out of technology that's very easy to use. And last but not least, when you raise funds through selling your tokens, you can sell it to anyone around the world, right? And all you need to do is to collaborate with international platforms like Luno, where we have a huge amount of international customers globally to do this, right? So I think that's why there's a lot of interest in this space, and I think that's where the market will probably head to as well, as how I see it.
Interesting, because it looks like more and more people in the industry are treating cryptocurrency like a normal asset, like the way we've been treating asset for decades, for the last 6, 7, 8 decades in the commercial world. But to be fair, David, I mean, while we are quite excited with the growth, and of course, as a lawyer, we keep an eye on all this growth. I think I'm not the only lawyer. There are many other lawyers keeping an eye on cryptocurrency and offering our comments and whatnot. But how do we deal with the problems of cryptocurrency? So one of the problems I always read about in cryptocurrency is about, for example, about theft, people stealing cryptocurrency. So if, let's say, again, this could be a naive question, and this is designed to make people understand what Luno is doing. So how do you protect so that people don't steal cryptocurrency from you?
Yep, I think that's a very common thing to happen in the world of crypto. And what we will always advise is you need to pick the right wallet to store your crypto, right? Obviously, I'm a bit biased. I will always say that the Luno wallet is the most secure wallet for a good reason, which I'll explain a bit later. But a lot of times why people's funds were stolen was either because someone managed to gain unauthorized access to their wallet. They basically get access to the Bitcoin, and they see that there's Bitcoin in your wallet, and they basically send the Bitcoin out into their own wallet, right, through the internet. Or sometimes it might be a case of the wallet operators themselves having unsecured security, right, that's built. They don't have sufficient safeguard against hackers, and hackers for some reason manage to gain access into those wallets to steal the customer's funds away, right? In our case, and there's two ways to deal with these two scenarios. I'll deal with the latter first. In our case, because we are governed by the SC actually vets our system very thoroughly to make sure that when we say that we provide these security systems, we do have them in place, and not just us basically publishing on a website and selling that we do have them, right? So there are a lot of ways to secure a cryptocurrency from a wallet provider perspective. And one of the most popular that we do it is that we will segregate first customers' Bitcoin away from our own Bitcoin, right? Our own internal company's inventory. What we also do is that we'll basically build layers of security around it. And more importantly, we also segregate it into multiple layers of accounts. So there are concepts of hot wallet and cold wallet, for example. Hot wallet, basically wallets where it stores the crypto and is connected directly to the internet. A lot of exchanges do this simply because they are the middle party that facilitates the buy and sell of crypto between different people, right? So they have all their customers' wallet in a single place. They connect it to the internet, and when transaction happens, they basically transfer it for the customer, right? A lot of time when crypto exchanges got hacked, it's because they didn't secure this portion, and they put all the customers' funds into this wallet, and when it's gone forever, right?
I see.
It's done. For us, how we do it is that we only maintain a small amount of float on this wallet. It's only about between 5 to 10%, depending on the market movement. And the remaining 90% of customers' funds, we actually store in the second layer of account or wallet called the co-wallet, which is basically offline. It's stored, like privately in a physical space.
Better don't tell people where it's called.
No, we don't. We also make sure that not one single person in the company can access it. We make sure that the keys to that wallet is secured by multiple actors, including an independent person that is non-affiliated to us. And that's how we make sure that, in the worst case scenario, even if hackers compromise systems, no funds are lost. So that's just one portion of how a crypto exchange does it. I think there was a case recently in Malaysia where apparently there was an actor who managed to gain access to someone's crypto.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And I think he transferred, a few 100,000 ringgit out of that, worth of crypto out of her wallet, right? So in that case, what happened was basically, literally, this is my suspicion, the lady who's the victim of the case had the wallet in her phone. She stored Bitcoin on her phone, but the problem was her phone wasn't securitized, which means it doesn't have a pattern, it doesn't have a pin to protect it. You press a single button, you open the phone already, right? And even when someone presses the app to open the wallet is not securitized. So that means it's not password protected. Or even if it does, it has a weak password that is easily guessable. And even if you have a weak password, you do not implement a second layer of security of what we call a two-factor authentication, where there are multiple ways to do to FAs, right? So somebody would have heard about Google Authenticator, for example. It generates a 60-second password, and it renews every 60 seconds, right? So what it means is that you have these two FA Google Authenticator. Apart from just keying your password to access to the wallet and your email and password, you also must key in this 60-second password as well, right? In order to access into that wallet. So my guess is probably that actor managed to gain access to the account. The account wasn't securitized, didn't have enough password or security in place. He managed to access it and he transferred the Bitcoin into his own wallet. So I think that's another way for people to lose their funds, right? I think my general advice is always pick the right wallet or exchange to store your Bitcoin. Even if you have picked the right wallet and exchange to store Bitcoin, you always need to make sure that you have a strong password. You must always also implement 2FA. If you don't quite understand what that means, you can actually go to the Luno website and we actually teach you how to do it. And I think that's the best way to make sure that your funds are never stolen. So even if you put 100K or 200K, as long as you put all these measures in place, your funds should be safe as well.
So, because I'm sorry, David, I didn't tell you I wanted to ask you this question. My bad. I know I caught you off guard there, but it's just that the issue of theft is very, very common in cryptocurrency. And many people don't realize that cryptocurrency is not something you withdraw and put in your pocket and you can walk around. It is all digital. And
yes,
therefore,
correct.
It must be kept in a particular, in your words, wallet, a special wallet, and protected that way, right? Yeah. So, moving on, very, very interesting so far. I got a question which I saw appearing on my personal Facebook page because I'm holding a watching party on my personal Facebook page. So I've cut and pasted and put it here, and it's from my friend Eddie. He asked, raising funds without having to give out equity sounds good, but from the legal point of view, isn't it considered an unlicensed and unregistered security offering? You want to try this, David?
No, it's a very fair question. So I think that's the purpose of regulation, right? Right now, because the regulation is not enforced, if there's any companies that tries to create cryptocurrency to sell and to raise funds, it is considered unlicensed and unregistered security offering, right? And there have been companies in Malaysia who have done it, and they were basically reprimanded, and sometimes even some has received penalty from the SC to do so, and the penalties are heavy, right? So then, because SC has basically ruled it as an illegal thing to do unless you get a permission. That's why now they have a proper legal framework to regulate this. And if companies want to raise funds through issuing their own cryptos, they definitely have to get SC's approval, right? And there are many requirements, just like an IPO, right? Many requirements in place. You have to submit a paper, in the IPO market, it's called prospectus. In these new regulations, it's called white paper, for example. And you have to fulfill a lot of requirements before you're allowed to do so.
That's why I think many people are still trying to grapple the concept. And while you raise funds this way without giving equities, but it is highly regulated. And if it's not regulated, as what you say, it's illegal. As simple as that. So Eddie has a point, but if it's not done with the correct authorization, then it's definitely unlicensed. Yeah, and it cannot be done. But good question, Eddie. Good question. Now, moving from there, another issue I noticed in crypto, David, is the issue of the unstable value. Because look at Bitcoin, for example. 3 years ago, the whole world got crazy over Bitcoin. Every hero wanted to buy Bitcoin, and I remember some people bought it, don't even know what the hell is it, but you don't buy it. And then, how do you foresee the worldwide management of the value of cryptocurrencies? Will there be like so-called Dow Jones of the world, or the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange of the world, which control all this? What is your comment?
So I think no, it's a very good question. The problem with Bitcoin right now, or even cryptocurrency in general, right, is that it depends on the exchange. The price is 100% driven by demand and supply. That means the buyers and the sellers are the one who dictates it in specific exchanges. And right now, what's the problem? The problem is that because every exchange around the world, or even in Malaysia, right, operates their own market. Right, the market isn't operated by one single organization. It's operated by many different people around the world, including Malaysia as well. And because of that, price differs, right? So, for example, you can find Bitcoin price at, let's say, 40,000 ringgit on Luno now. If you check the price in some other exchanges, that price might be 40,100-ish, right? And that actually is somewhat a challenge for the industry, because there isn't a standardized price indicator. There has been many initiatives, I'd say, around the world for people to try and streamline that, but we've not seen one that's managed to do it successfully, where people accept it as the way forward. I think we'll get there eventually, but that must come with the maturity of the market, because as much as crypto trading volume is quite substantial in Malaysia, it's still nowhere near the level of major asset classes like stock, right? It's not even 1%, for example, right? That gives you just a broad idea of how small the market is, despite it having like many growth over the past few years. So I think when the market start maturing, you have a lot more experts coming into this space. When institutional funds start looking to this more seriously, for example, let's say if some investment banks start looking to this more seriously, they want to provide it as an alternative investment to their clients. Then you start having analysts coming into this space, and then I think that's when the whole thing will start happening. So it's only a matter of time, definitely. Right now it's still very early days, and who knows, right? It might be as soon as within the next 5 years, but fingers crossed. I hope it happens soon.
Yep. Good explanation, David. Just it's interesting that of course, because we were not there when it happened, but more than 100 years ago, when the concept of company first came about, and then the concept of buying and selling shares, trading stock, they call it in America, of companies came about. And then eventually the idea of having a regulatory body to regulate the buying and selling of shares, it was all alien at the time, 100 over years ago, but let's say because we were not born at the time, we were not there. So we just read it, and now for us it's like buying and selling share is common thing, no problem, you know. So I think cryptocurrency is going through that
Yes.
stage at the moment.
Definitely.
So we will see how it goes as we go along. But I do say, I must comment that to me, for crypto to be an acceptable trading asset, or in this case a digital asset, for me to use as a trade, for me to use as a barter system, right, the value must be more stable lah. At the moment, cryptocurrency, whatever currency lah, it goes up and down dramatically.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. I think the best way to look at it is that I think once crypto, or it depends on which crypto, right? Once a specific crypto has gained a mass adoption and has validated its use case, right, on a global level, that's when you see a lot of adoption of that technology, and that's when the price will stabilize, right? So, for example, it's a far-fetched example, right? For example, let's say huge companies like AirAsia has a startup under its wing, right, called BigPay, right? And they do have it. BigPay is kind of owned by AirAsia. Let's say BigPay is actually a pretty mature SME. They've driven hundreds of millions of revenues. They want to raise funds through crypto. They raise it. People will actually associate BigPay's crypto price with its performance, similarly to how people use stocks price to the company's performance, right?
Correct.
So I think
correct.
that happens when there's a fundamental behind it, and when the use case is proven and people accept it as it is, then I think that's when you see a lot more stability in the market.
Yeah, I think one of the thing about stock exchange is that the value of the stock is very much packed on the performance of the company where the share come from, the stock come from. But the thing about Bitcoin and all the other coins involved, it is not packed to a particular performing organization. It is really much to the fluid marketing demand and supply.
Yeah.
And that's why it can, even though economy, let's say, is doing very well, but Bitcoin share may plummet, or cryptocurrency share may plummet. Yeah. So
it has very little correlation. There are studies around it. I would say yes, correct. It's not pegged against a company performance where you can measure with mathematics, right? But having said that, it doesn't mean that it has no fundamentals, right? So the major crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, for example, they are mainly driven by its use case. So, like for example, Bitcoin, people tout it as the digital money, but it's actually a lot more use as an investment, but also as a remittance case. A lot of people buy Bitcoin. Instead of going through the banking system and remit their money, they buy Bitcoin, and then they send the Bitcoin to their relatives in the other side of the world in just 10 minutes. And the cost of transferring that Bitcoin is literally just less than 20 cents, literally less than 20 cents, right? So that becomes a very interesting proposition. And I think because it's being used widely like this, as a use case grows because of market awareness as well as adoption, then I think you see it, going up in demand, right? And that basically pushes the price up all the way. So similarly, I think there's an example like Ethereum, right? Ethereum positioned themselves as a technology for people to create smart contracts. Now, it's a bit different from the contract that in law, right? It's very different.
Yeah. I know.
So don't confuse the two, right? But I think the simplest way to explain it is that what Ethereum does is that Ethereum will say you can use our technology to create a self-executable plan in order to perform a transaction. So as an example, I want to barter goods with you, Richard, right? I want to sell, let's say, in the simplest way, 10 chickens to you. But the thing is that I don't want to give you the chickens before you give me the money.
Correct.
So what we do is that we take our agreement that we have code it. Basically, we code it. You make sure you fund your wallet. I make sure I have my chickens ready. And then once my chicken, so I'll code it and say, okay, once my chicken is sent to you, the program will self-execute by itself, and you send the Ethereum to me immediately. So that's basically what and that happens, and that's basically what Ethereum is trying to position itself. So that use case for a smart contract is actually being applied already, right? in a crypto world, the most popular way of using it is for fundraising. Easy. So what happens is, if you want to fundraise with crypto, people actually create a smart contract. They will code in a way where they say, okay, you know what? There's David as a company. Luno is raising funds through crypto. We call it the Luno crypto, for example. You want to buy, let's say, 10 tokens of the Luno token, right? I will say, okay, if you send me 1 Bitcoin, I will send you 10 Luno tokens. And you code it that way. The moment you do it, it auto credits to your wallet immediately, the Luno token, right? So you don't need a middleman to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to take the Luno token now and transfer to Richard. You don't need that middle party. It's self-executable and it executes automatically once you make the payment. So that's really the reason why some companies manage to raise like millions of dollars within 30 minutes or 1 hour, because it's all self-executed. And it gives people a lot of safeguard as well. It also eliminates a lot of middlemen in between as well.
Sometimes middlemen can be quite expensive.
Yes.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I like how you explain it. In fact, my friend Eddie has got another question.
Sure.
But he went back to the ICO. He said ICO is an interesting concept, but has it now been legalized in Malaysia?
It has.
It has, right?
Yeah. It has. It is now illegal to raise funds through ICO. And if you, as a company, you want to raise funds, there's a guideline you have to follow, which is the IEO guideline that I mentioned just now. That guideline hasn't come into force yet. It's going to come into force very soon. SC last told me it was sometime in Q3. So once it's come into force, people can apply for it and start figuring things out.
Yeah, coming soon. So, it's already 8 o'clock. There you go. Talk. Then I say, I didn't realize it's already 8 o'clock. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, what we've heard so far from David is the concept of cryptocurrency, how it works. It is a digital asset. At the moment in Malaysia, is regulated by the Security Commission. You heard David addressing the issue of theft in crypto. He also addressed the issue of the unstable value. And we both discussed about the fact that 100 over years ago, we had this same problem when we were buying and selling shares. We also heard David mention about the Bank Negara amending the law pertaining to the currency, right? Amending the Currency Act, David?
Yes, correct.
And it goes to show that even Bank Negara is taking steps to regulate cryptocurrency, making it more and more legit by the day. And I repeat, you heard from David, he said that even the police have a special dedicated force to deal with cryptocurrency. So you know that it's quite serious when the police are involved, So basically, David, today, as the purpose of the topic is, it's really meant for people to understand crypto. It is a continuing discussion from our part 1. Since we're going to call it an end, would you like to summarize, have a comments, maybe any wishes to the viewers? All yours, David.
Sure. So I think this is something that's very interesting, definitely from my perspective. It's a constant learning process for me as well, because the technology constantly evolves. And I think it's something that the Malaysian public definitely has to take a look and understand into, because you can't avoid it. It's better to learn it, understand it, than just putting it aside and then suddenly realize that everyone's talking about it, right? So I think the adoption will come. I think the best way to understand it is to learn, right? And I think Luno ourselves, we have a learning portal where we explain the basics of blockchain, Bitcoin, the concept of even this so-called future money as well. We have all those materials in place. If you're interested to learn more, you can just go to our website, www.luno.com. Go to our learning center, and you can find many, many interesting articles to learn about this new technology. So and I'll stop it at that. Don't want to bore the viewers in our chat. And I'll be happy to address any questions if you have in the future. Just drop me an email, or you can go through Richard Wee, who can reach out to me as well.
Well, thanks, David. I mean, you could be anywhere else in the world today, but you choose to join me on this webinar. Thank you very much for your 1 hour, your time. I feel, David, that this will not be the end of our webinar journey. Or hopefully the next time I get to invite you back in my office and we can do another seminar, but broadcast live on Facebook, for example. Because I think the struggle is real, you know. Every time I discuss with people, David, there is a struggle for people to understand it. And so as a practicing lawyer, we have to half the time explain the concept before talking about the laws about it, you know. So I hope to have you back again to continue educating the people, subject to your free time, of course.
Yeah, definitely more than happy to support. Yeah, I'll be happy to join any education initiatives that you want to be part of as well.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get David to come and speak at your event, call him early, let him know. He's a very nice guy, but a lot of people want to look for him. So you better book him early, you know. But you know, David, once again, thank you very much for your time. I invite everybody here to give a round of applause to David. Cyber round of applause. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a comment from a lecturer from Taylor's University. Thank you, Sophia. Sophia is a lecturer in University of Tasmania, Taylor's University, and I almost said Tasmania. And yeah, so thank you very much for logging in, Sophia. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I will let David go. I want to thank everybody for logging on here. If you want to know more about cryptocurrency, please visit Luno Money's website. And on our RWC website, we have a few articles on this area. And you can always check David's interview on podcast, which you can hear anytime, you know, while you are on the headphone, or you're in the train, or you're driving your car. Switch on to RWC's podcast. Look for David's podcast, Luno and Law, and you can hear him talking there. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. David, don't go yet. I'm going to end the live broadcast. So thank you, everybody. Terima kasih. Good night. Take care. Catch up with you. Bye-bye.
Good night.